Anthony, and this is Friday Night Freedom class. So what's going on with you guys? Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you like the video, comment below, share it. If you feel led to. Okay, so I have my notes right here, and tonight's Friday Night Freedom class. I got three cameras up, so you may see me looking right here, right here, and right here. All right. So tonight we'll be talking about self confidence. You know, this whole series is about freedom. It's about freeing yourself from yourself, and it's about freeing yourself from outside things that's trying to control you. So we're talking about self confidence tonight. And I first got this from a guy named Bill Bartman. He actually used to own the Chicago. He actually tried to put in a bid to buy the Chicago Bulls back in like 1998 when Michael Jordan was playing. And I was listening to some of his tapes, and he was talking about, the main reason why he wasn't successful was because of self confidence. And then we go back to the Napoleon Hill self confidence formula, which I'm about to get into. Okay. And so let me read something to you that I kind of came up with. Self confidence comes from within yourself. Okay. From others and from your own accomplishments. Okay. If you are lacking in self confidence, it may be due to uh, overly, criticizing yourself. Would you agree? Do you expect to fail? Ask yourself this question: do you expect to fail? Do you secretly talk to yourself and be like, do I expect to fail? Do you think do you think you're not good enough secretly? Is that the reason why you're not, pushing through on what you need to push through on? Do you believe others when they make negative comments about you? Just ask yourself these questions. This is to gauge the temperature of your own self confidence. You know, um, it could be to a lack of self confidence if you answer yes to any of those. Okay, so let's talk about it. So we'll be referring from Napoleon Hill's the self confidence formula. Okay, so I'll be reading from this. I think I'm going to break this up into a Friday Night Freedom class series because it's so deep. So I have the definitions of the words. Okay, so I'm going to probably read through the whole self confidence formula, and then I'll break down section one. It's five different sections. How many sections? Five sections. So let's read it. The Self Confidence Formula by Napoleon Hill. Now, I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. Before I knew about the Self Confidence Formula from Napoleon Hill a long time ago, but I never carried it with me. I never like read it weekly or daily. I think this was the problem. And so now I read it, and I would encourage you to download this. I may have a link in the description below by the time this video is edited. But it says, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment. And I here and now promise to render such action. Okay, that's part one. Part two, it says, I realize that the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Okay. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a mental picture of that person. So I'm not going to read the whole thing. We're just going to focus on section one. Okay. So it says, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. So we're breaking down the self-confidence formula. All right. That's what this call is about. Friday Night Freedom. We're breaking down the self-confidence formula. All right. So let's look up the definitions. The way we break stuff down is through definitions. Would you agree? So it says, well, let's break down what self-confidence actually means first. Okay. So the definition of self is a person's essential being that distinguishes themselves from others. So the definition of self is a person's essential being that distinguishes themselves from others. Okay. And the second definition of self was self-fertilize. I thought this was interesting, to self-fertilize yourself. And the definition of confidence is the feeling or belief that one can rely on oneself for something, a firm trust. So let's look up this. Let's focus on fertilize. It says a firm trust in self-fertilization. So if you think about soil, I remember my mother, she used to have me out there in the garden. She really loved flowers back home in Chicago. And I used to always garden her, help her with her garden and her flowers and everything. And she used to always use this Miracle Grow to put on the flowers. And, I thought that the flower would grow just by putting the Miracle Grow in there just one time. I thought just watering it one time or just a few times a week that it would grow. And those flowers never grew until I started constantly fertilizing the soil. Then I saw her flowers started to grow. And so this goes back to self-fertilization. This is what self and confidence means. Self-fertilization. So you think about the example I just gave with me helping my mother with her flowers in her garden is growing up. Are you self-fertilizing yourself? This means you have to be consistently fertilizing, giving yourself the knowledge, giving yourself the discipline that's needed, or you won't be able to build self-confidence. Okay. And you have to distinguish yourself from others. You have to look at yourself as being distinguished from others currently. So that's a definition of self-confidence. Okay. It says a strong sense of self-reliability. Okay. So let's go back to the definition. It says, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Okay. So let's look up the word know. You may think you know what the word know means, but let's look it up. It says to have an understanding, or it says to have an understanding of importance of knowing oneself. So you have to know yourself, if you plan to develop self-confidence, because it says, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. So Napoleon Hill, he first started off with no. You have to know yourself. And what does that mean? I mean, you have to know your own strengths and your own weaknesses. You have to build your strengths and not focus on the weaknesses. Still build them, but you have to focus on the strengths. You have to know that you have the ability to achieve the object of your definite purpose in life. Even the Egyptians talked about this, know thyself. And so let's look up the word persistent. So it says, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment, and I here now promise to render such action. So the word persistence, the definition of the word persistence is, it says continuing to exist or endure over a long period of time. So let's reread this. It says, therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment. This is how you build self-confidence, through persistence. And the only way to be persistent is to exist. It says to continually exist or endure over a long period of prolonged time. So I'll give you an example. If you think about Usain Bolt, right? Usain Bolt, a lot of people train for the Olympics. A lot of people are great runners. But why is Usain Bolt one of the top, or if not the first, number one runner in the world right now? If you think about it, when the gun goes off and all the people start running, they all start off in the same spot. But how is it that Usain Bolt and others are able to win the race time and time again? Because they're able to sustain that thrust from when the gun went off. They're able to sustain it longer than other people. So the reason you don't have self-confidence right now in yourself is because you're doing these personal development tactics, reading your goals, visualizing, taking action, but you're not doing it consistently over a prolonged period of time. It says that I demand of myself persistent. You have to demand of yourself. You have to command of yourself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment. And the definition of persistence is, it says to continually to exist or endure over a long period of time. So when the gun goes off, in the whole Usain Bolt example, he's able to endure the persistent actions of winning a race and sustaining his thrust from the start of the race longer than others. So you have to think about your own goal right now. If you got a big goal, if you got a big dream, then you're gonna have to hold that dream. You're gonna have to persistently hold the energy around that goal longer than others. If you just want to be a manager at McDonald's or something, then you don't need that much faith over a long period of time. Yeah, you need faith to go from the cashier to the manager, which can happen, I guess, in 3 months or 6 months or something like that. But if you have like a big goal to own the McDonald's franchise, you're gonna have to hold that energy over a prolonged period of time. You're gonna have to hold that self-confidence over a long period of time for it to work. And what is self-confidence? Self-confidence is a person's essential being that distinguishes themselves from others. Self-fertilization. That's the definition of self-confidence. You have to self-fertilize yourself. So what is fertilizer? Okay, so if you think back to when we used to cut the grass, I know I used to cut the grass growing up. My mother used to have us out there cutting the grass a whole lot. But we have to put fertilizer down first to kind of, make the grass grow greener, to make the grass grow stronger. But we have to do it consistently, not just one time. So are you self-fertilizing yourself? This is how we build self-confidence. We have to do this stuff continually over and over again. And it seems so simple, right? It seems so simple to do these things, to look at our goals, to speak them, to take action towards the dream or whatever, but we have to do it consistently. And the reason why things haven't been manifested for you or haven't happened yet is because of self-confidence. Let's go back to Bill Bartman. This is what he said. He said, all lack of success is because of lack of self-confidence. And you want to know why? He says, you want to be successful, but you have to take action. You're afraid to take action because you're afraid to fail. You're afraid to fail because you care about what other people think about you. And you care about what other people think about you because you have low self-esteem or lack of self-confidence. You see how it flows? So it's like, you want to be successful. You have to take these actions, but you won't take these actions because you're afraid of what they're going to say, family members, friends, ex-husbands, ex-wives, your own kids, whatever. You're afraid. Basically, if you continue to care about what other people think about you, then you won't be able to build a self-confidence, because you're worried about what they're going to say if you fail. So you're focusing on failing. You take action and you fail. Therefore, it lowers your self-confidence even more. And then you have this vicious cycle of dreams trying to be manifested, taking actions and failing. Dreams trying to be manifested, taking actions and failing because your self-confidence is low because you're so focused on what other people think about you if you take these actions. Does that make sense? I just thought that was powerful. I mean, this guy has a whole program out there, Bill Barton. But let's get back to Napoleon Hill. You still with me? Make sure you guys like the video, share it, comment. All right. All right. So let's go to the next part. Action, the definition of the word action. So it says, number one is, it says, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment. And I here now promise to render such action. Now, you may say, man, I know what action means. I've been saying the word action my whole life. But have you ever looked up the definition of the word action? All right. So let's look up the definition of the word action. The definition of the word action. Now, this is kind of deep. Check it out. I'm going to break this down a little bit here. The definition of the word action, it says the fact, which is really interesting. It said the fact or the process of doing something. Now, you already know that action means it's the process of doing something, right? But let's focus on this word. It says the fact. When I look up the word action, the first thing it said was the fact. I'm like, action is the fact. So let's look up the word fact. The word fact says information used as evidence. Information used as evidence. So basically, that was pretty deep to me. So action is the fact. So action is the information used as evidence. So if you think about a courtroom, when the lawyer comes in, they're trying to present evidence to the judge to get a conviction of guilty or not guilty, right? So the action that you take to build your self-confidence is the evidence, right? So if you're trying to achieve a goal to earn more money or to get the dream love of your life or um, to have a certain health situation, the action is the evidence because it says the definition of the word action is the fact. And the definition of the word fact is information used as evidence. So your action is evidence uh, to a judge to prove if something is true or not true. And so I'm about to break this down for who's the judge. You may be wondering, like, who's the judge? I'm gonna tell you who the judge is. Now we're gonna go to the book Untethered Soul, the Untethered Soul. I remember reading this book with a person years ago, and Untethered Soul was talking about how we have these voices. You know, we have ourselves, and then we have like the good side and the bad side. We have like you've already listened to yourself, like just sitting there, and you have these thoughts just coming in, and then Untethered Soul, the book basically talks about where these thoughts coming from. It helps you realize that this is happening because a lot of times we're unconscious or you're unconscious. So let's go back to the judge example. So the definition, let's go back to the self-confidence formula. It says, therefore, I demand of myself persistent and continuous action towards its attainment. And I here now promise to render such action. We're going to get into that word render as well. Stay with me. So I'm focusing on the whole word action here because the action connects us from the spiritual world to the physical world. The action is the bridge from the spiritual world to the physical world. It's the bridge. Okay, it connects the two, so we can get what we want through manifestation. So the definition of the word action is the fact, and the definition of the word fact is information used as evidence. So why does somebody who has to present information as evidence is trying to prove something? So in the book, The Untethered Soul, it talks about you being the Holy Trinity in a way. So let me explain that. So it's basically me here, and then I have my good side, my bad side, and then I have myself. So with you have the good side, the bad side, and then you have your own self viewing this. You're the judge. Okay, so basically you have the good you and the bad you. So just think about a situation in the past that you made a bad decision, right? And you was weighing it. You like, should I do it or should I not do it? You know, should I have sex with this person or should I not have sex with this person? Or should I talk to this guy or should I not? And you talk to the guy and then it end up, turning to some legal case or something crazy. Or you like, should I get the job or should I not get this job? And then you're weighing it and then you get the job and then it turns out to be something good or bad. The whole point is you have the Holy Trinity, which is yourself, the good side and the bad side. So you're always presenting evidence to yourself on what to believe and what not to believe. It says the self-confidence formula, it says, I demand of myself persistent and continuous action towards its attainment. This is how you build self-confidence, through your action. And what you do and what you don't do is evidence to yourself, proving to yourself what you really believe. Does that make sense? The definition of the word action is the fact. The definition of the word fact is information used as evidence. Evidence to whom? Who are you? It says information used as evidence. Evidence to who? Evidence to you. You're the judge. You have the good you and the bad you. Okay, telling you to do the good things or the bad things. And sometimes the you that's telling you to do the bad things sound like it's a good thing, and then you take action, and then it turned out to be the wrong thing. So the whole point is the action is the bridge from the spiritual world to the physical world. And the definition of action is the fact. And the definition of the word fact is information used as evidence. Okay, so basically the whole point is to build self-confidence is to take action regardless of circumstances. That's literally what I'm doing right now here on this call. This is building my own self-confidence because I'm bold. Like, I don't care, I don't care how I look on here or if I look silly or however I am perceived to people. This builds my own self-confidence because what you do and what I do shows what we believe. Does that make sense? So this is how we build self-confidence, through persistent action, which is information used as evidence to yourself. You always got a side of you trying to prove the good and trying to prove the bad. So if you're trying to achieve the next goal or believe that you can live in this certain house or earn this kind of money or have this certain husband or wife or have this health situation cured, you're always presenting evidence to yourself that it's possible or not possible. Does that make sense? So even if you, what I'm trying to say is, even if you don't believe, even if you secretly believe that you can't do something, you still take the action because the action is proven to yourself as evidence that you can do it. Even though after you take the action, you still don't believe you can do it. But over time, because the definition of self-confidence is self-fertilization, over time, you'll be fertilizing, planting those seeds that will grow into full self-confidence. Does that make sense? So the action is important. Even if you don't believe that you can do it, still take action. Even if you think he or she is going to say no, still take action. You still going to doubt yourself after that, but that action is self-fertilization. That's the definition of self-confidence. The definition of self and the definition of word confidence together is basically self-fertilization from my research of the definitions of the words, the word self and the word confidence. So you have to take action regardless in the direction of what you want, even if you don't believe that it's possible. You still do it. And then eventually, those seeds that you're dropping is self-fertilization, which is the definition of self-confidence. Those seeds will grow and and that won't even be an issue for you anymore. Does that make sense? Hey, I love this. I love this. So let's continue. Now, even in the Bible, in Hebrews 11:1, I'm not a preacher. I thought I would be at one point. Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So basically, I brought that scripture up because it says that that faith is the evidence of things not seen. And then we go back to the word fact. It says information being used as evidence. So basically, the actions that we take and that we don't take proves what we believe. Like sometimes, even with myself, I'm like, do I really believe I can do this? Or do I really believe I can have this? And but I'm like, I ask myself, I'm like, Anthony, but what actions are you taking? And I'm like, well, I've been taking actions in this direction. Well, that's what you really believe. And you got to ask yourself that. You taking actions towards this, and sometimes you get second guess yourself. Do I really believe I can have this kind of life? Or do I really believe I can drive this kind of car? Do I really believe I can live in this neighborhood over here? Do I really believe I can have this kind of man or this kind of woman? But you're paying a matchmaker. You're getting in the gym, getting fit for the women. You're changing up your style. It's like you're taking these micro actions. Then yes, that's what you believe. You may not have 100% belief yet, but it's creating this self-fertilization. Does that make sense? Or like Kwame Brown, he said, "Mama sprinkling, mama's cooking." That's how I look right there. But self-confidence is self-fertilization, is what I'm trying to say. That's the definition of the word self and the definition of the word confidence. Because we look up definitions over here, how to change my life in 30 days movement. Okay? Because you got two types of people in this world, people who look up definitions and people that don't. All right, so let's get off of that. Let's go to the last section and then we're done. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Make sure you support the video, like it, comment, subscribe, share, if you're seeing it, and let me know what you thought about it. All right. Now, the last section, I'm going to reread the whole section and then I'm going to break down the definition of this word render and then we'll be done. All right. Appreciate you hanging out with me. I know this is date night. You guys supposed to be out on your date. I know, but you hanging out with me for a little bit. Appreciate it. All right, so the self-confidence formula by Napoleon Hill, it says, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment. And I here and now promise to render such action. So let's look up the word render. Because if you don't look up the definitions of these words, you're not going to really catch it on a spiritual level. Okay? Like, people talk about Scientology. I have a friend that's really big into Scientology, and one thing that they do teach is look up the definition of the words, all right? So the definition of the word render, it says to cause or become. The definition of the word render is to cause or become. So let me break it down for you. Remember the self-confidence formula. It says, I demand of myself persistent and continuous action towards its attainment, and I here now promise to render such action. So to get self-confidence, the definition of the word render is to cause or become. So basically, if we insert the definition into the word, it says, I here now promise to cause and become such action. I demand of myself consistent and continuous action towards its attainment, and I promise to render such action, or I promise to cause and become such action. Wow, man, it's like you literally got control over what you're trying to manifest or what you're trying to create. I got control over what I'm trying to create through my actions. It just said that I promise to render such action. The definition of render is to cause or become. So you got to become, when you take action consistently, you're becoming that person. So if you're trying to get the ideal mate, or trying to, get the money going the right way or whatever, or you're trying to heal a secret health situation you don't want anybody to know about, you have to become whatever you're taking action towards. And taking the action towards the goal that you really don't believe you can achieve yet will cause you to believe on a subconscious level that it's possible. You want to know how? Because as the days go by, as the weeks go by, you'll find yourself consistently taking these actions. And you're like, hold on, I've been taking action consistently. Where's this coming from? Every action you take is a seed. Remember, the definition of self-confidence is self-fertilization. You got to fertilize yourself. You got to constantly, what's fertilization? Think about it. Think about when people put fertilizer on grass or put fertilizer on plants. It's to not only get the plant to grow, but it's to get the plant to grow very green, not just green grass, but very green grass, not just grass that grows, but grass that grows a little faster. We have to self-fertilize ourselves. We have to tell ourselves what we are. We have to look at our pictures, right? Consistently over time. If you got a big goal, you got to sustain if you got a big dream, man, you got to sustain delusion for a long period of time. You have to tell yourself that this goal is possible. The outside world not gonna believe it. They're gonna think that you crazy or that this is not possible for you. They only believe it's not possible for you because they don't believe it's possible for them. When I really got that changed everything. Think about somebody right now that's hating on you, that's telling you you can't do something, or that's trying to sabotage what you're doing. They're only doing that because they're looking at you like, how the hell can he or she believe? Like, I know this about her. I know that, yeah, I'm talking directly to you. I know this about her. I know this about him. How the hell is he or she still believing they can do this when I know they don't have this? I know they don't have that. Yeah, I'm talking about you. They're trying to put you down because they don't believe it for themselves. I've even been guilty of this in the past. Not my recent past, but, in my early 20s. Telling people they shouldn't do things or that they can't do things because I secretly thought, I was like, shit, if I was in that situation, I couldn't do it. So let me try to, tell this person they can't do it. You see what I'm saying? It's that projection. It's that projection. So appreciate you guys hanging out. I got my auntie on here. What's going on, auntie? All right. So we got a few people on here. What's going on, y'all, on Instagram? All right. So this is Anthony, How to Change My Life in 30 Days Movement. Freedom Fridays, man. I didn't know we went this long. It's 30 minutes. So look for the video being chopped up. We're going to clip it out, the top, 60-minute clips, 30-second clips or whatever. But yeah, it's just self-confidence, man. And I'll repeat this again and I'll end the video. You want to be successful, but you have to take action. You don't want to take action because you're afraid of because you're afraid to fail. You're afraid to fail because you care about what other people think about you. And you care about what other people think about you because you lack self-esteem, self-confidence. Just think about that. So this is Anthony, How to Change My Life in 30 Days Movement, Friday Night Freedom. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe, leave a comment, share it. If it helped, maybe it didn't. But if it did, support it in some way. Appreciate you guys. And just remember that you're a champion because you choose to be. All right, be great.